Hello, this is Bob Matthews. Welcome to another episode of High Innovation TV. I've got an idea for you today, and although it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, it could be. But the strategy that I have for you today, if you implement this on a regular basis, could easily make you $1 million. Now this has happened to all of us. We either go into a store, we turn on the TV, and we see a new product introduction. And we think to ourselves, hey, I had that idea 5 years ago, and here it is on TV. How does that happen? How do two people come up with the same idea independently? The more often it happens to you, that means the less profound your ideas are. For instance, if you're standing outside with a couple of friends, and it's cold out, and you noticed both of them put their hands in their pockets at the same time, they both came up with this independently, maybe they're not looking at each other, you're going to figure, that's no big deal, that's kind of obvious, and so that's not too thrilling to see those kind of things happen. But just the opposite happens sometimes. For instance, Newton and Leibniz in the late 1600s both invented calculus at the same time independently. To me, that's amazing. If you've ever studied calculus, it's hard to even understand it, let alone comprehend inventing calculus. And here, two of them did it independently at the same time. That's kind of amazing. But regardless, when you walk into a store and you see an idea that you had 5 years ago, the reason it's in the store and that person is making money off of it and you didn't is because they chose to take action. Now, regardless of whether or not you choose to take action, you have to have ideas before you can take action on them. And that's what today's strategy is about. Now, inside every person, every one of you, every one of us, there's at least $1 million idea. Matter of fact, there's tons of $1 million ideas inside of all of us. I mean, the world is just full of abundance, and it's just up to us to go out there and get it. So within each one of us, there's an idea for making $1 million. And if you just look around yourself, look around, every object you see made someone $1 million. If you look at a TV, millions of dollars are made making that TV. If you look at coffee cups, people are making tons of money off of coffee cups. Tables, furniture. I'm looking at a thermostat in here. Windows. All of these objects made somebody at least $1 million. These things are being mass produced. So it's not that hard to come up with $1 million idea, and it's in all of us. So the way to increase the number of $1 million ideas we get is to increase the number of ideas we get. And the way to increase the number of ideas we get is to record them and to have a focus. Thomas Edison was one of the most prolific inventors of all time. He held more than 1,000 patents, more than 1,000. And one of the things that enabled him to do this was he had a lot of ideas. And he had a focus on getting ideas. He used to set idea quotas. And so the quota for him and the people that worked for them was he had to have a minor invention every 10 days and a major invention every 6 months. So he set quotas for himself, and that's one of the reasons he was so prolific as an inventor. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to do yourself a favor. I want you to get a notebook, not just a crummy little composition book. I want you to get a nice notebook, something that inspires you to write in it. And I want you to decide that you're going to write in it daily. And each day I want you to write in that notebook one single $1 million idea. Now, a lot of these we know ahead of time are not going to generate $1 million, but all the ideas you put in this notebook, I want to have the potential to make $1 million. Okay, and what's going to happen is they're not all going to make $1 million. Some you may have that one grand idea that makes $1 million or 10 million or 100 million, or you may just have a bunch of ideas that make $100,000 or $1,000. If you have 1,000 ideas that make you $1,000, that's $1,000,000. If you have one a day that makes you $1,000, in 3 years you'll have $1,000,000. Right? And if those are residual income, that's going to keep coming in. So maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, but it creates the focus. And guaranteed, if you don't create that focus, you're not going to get that $1,000,000. So that's your assignment for this week. I want you to generate $1,000,000 ideas, and of course, if you come up with real good $1,000,000 ideas, feel free to email them to me.